According to the National Electrical Code, sump pumps must be connected to a dedicated circuit. This means the circuit should be used exclusively for the sump pump and should not share any other loads. A 15-amp circuit is typically used for lighting fixtures and small appliances. The information provided states that the sump pump draws 13 amps when running, but the maximum startup current is 60 amps. This exceeds the capacity of a 15-amp circuit. When the sump pump starts up, it will draw a significant amount of current, which can potentially overload the circuit. This can cause the circuit breaker to trip, interrupting power to the sump pump and potentially causing flooding. Overloaded circuits can pose a safety hazard as they can increase the risk of electrical fires. In addition, if the sump pump is not on a dedicated circuit, it may not be able to operate properly during a power outage, which could lead to flooding. It is strongly recommended to have the sump pump installed on a dedicated 20-amp circuit. This will ensure that the sump pump has the necessary power to operate properly and will reduce the risk of overloading and safety issues. Given the potential risks, it is important to have the sump pump wiring inspected by a qualified electrician immediately. They can assess the situation and make the necessary corrections to ensure the proper and safe operation of the sump pump. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, is a comprehensive set of standards for electrical wiring and equipment in the United States. It's updated every 3 years, and it's designed to ensure the safety of people and property. The NEC addresses various aspects of electrical installations, including wiring methods, overcurrent protection, grounding, and equipment installation. It's important to note that while the NEC provides a baseline for electrical safety, local jurisdictions may have additional requirements or amendments. Article 210.8 of the NEC covers ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, protection. GFCI protection is required for receptacles in certain locations such as bathrooms, kitchens, garages, and outdoor areas. The purpose of GFCI protection is to protect people from electric shock. A GFCI monitors the current flowing in a circuit and quickly shuts off the power if it detects a ground fault. Article 250 of the NEC covers grounding and bonding. Grounding is the connection of electrical equipment to the earth, while bonding is the connection of metallic parts of an electrical system to create a low-impedance path for fault current. Proper grounding and bonding are essential for electrical safety. They help to prevent electric shock and reduce the risk of electrical fires. Article 310 of the NEC covers conductors for general wiring. This article provides requirements for conductor types, sizes, and ampacities. Ampacity refers to the current carrying capacity of a conductor. The ampacity of a conductor depends on its size, insulation type, and insulation conditions. It's important to select conductors with the appropriate ampacity for the intended application. Article 430 of the NEC covers motors, motor circuits, and controllers. This article provides requirements for the protection of motors against overloads and short circuits. It also covers the sizing of motor conductors and the selection of motor control equipment. Motors are often used in appliances, HVAC systems, and industrial equipment. Article 500 of the NEC covers hazardous locations. Hazardous locations are areas where flammable gases, vapors, or dust may be present, creating a risk of explosion or fire. The NEC provides specific requirements for electrical equipment installed in hazardous locations. These requirements are designed to minimize the risk of ignition. Article 600 of the NEC covers electric signs and outline lighting. This article provides requirements for the installation and wiring of electric signs and outline lighting systems. It covers topics such as overcurrent protection, grounding, and disconnects. Electric signs and outline lighting are commonly used for advertising and decorative purposes. Article 700 of the NEC covers emergency systems. Emergency systems are electrical systems that are designed to provide power to essential loads during a power outage. These systems are typically used in hospitals, fire stations, and other critical facilities. The NEC provides requirements for the design, installation, and testing of emergency systems. Article 701 of the NEC covers legally required standby systems. Legally required standby systems are electrical systems that are required by law to provide power to certain loads during a power outage. These systems may be required for fire pumps, elevators, and other essential equipment. The NEC provides requirements for the design, installation, and testing of legally required standby systems. Article 702 of the NEC covers optional standby systems. Optional standby systems are electrical systems that are installed to provide power to non-essential loads during a power outage. These systems may be used to power lighting, appliances, and other equipment. The NEC provides requirements for the design, installation, and testing of optional standby systems. NEC Table 310.15 B16 provides the allowable ampacities of insulated conductors rated up to and including 2000 volts, 60 degrees Celsius through 90 degrees Celsius. The ampacity of a conductor is the maximum amount of current it can carry safely without exceeding its temperature rating. NEC Chapter 9 contains tables and examples that are used to calculate the size of conductors and conduit. These tables provide information on conductor properties, conduit fill, and other factors that affect the sizing of electrical systems. It's important to consult these tables when designing and installing electrical systems. NEC Article 100 contains definitions of terms used in the NEC. These definitions are important for understanding the requirements of the code. It's important to be familiar with the definitions in Article 100 when working with the NEC. NEC Article 90.4 states that the authority having jurisdiction, or OJ, has the responsibility for interpreting and enforcing the NEC. The AHJ may be a local building inspector, electrical inspector, or other official. It's important to work with the AHJ to ensure that electrical installations comply with the NEC. The NEC is not intended to be a design manual. It is a set of minimum safety requirements. Electrical engineers and designers are responsible for designing electrical systems that meet the needs of the application while also complying with the NEC. The NEC is a living document that is constantly being updated and revised. It's important to stay up to date on the latest edition of the NEC to ensure that electrical installations are safe and compliant. Many organizations offer training courses on the NEC. These courses can help electricians, engineers, and other professionals to understand and apply the requirements of the code. It's important to get proper training on the NEC before working on electrical installations. The NEC is an important tool for ensuring electrical safety. By following the requirements of the NEC, it's possible to reduce the risk of electrical shock, fire, and other hazards. It's important to take the NEC seriously and to follow its requirements carefully. When selecting a qualified electrician, it's important to consider their experience, training, and licensing. A qualified electrician should have a thorough understanding of the NEC and be able to perform electrical work safely and correctly. It's always a good idea to get multiple bids from different electricians before hiring one. This will allow you to compare prices and services. When getting bids, be sure to ask the electrician about their experience with similar projects. It's also important to ask for references from previous customers. Before starting any electrical work, be sure to get a permit from your local building department. A permit is required for most electrical work, and it helps to ensure that the work is done safely and correctly. The building department will inspect the electrical work after it is completed to make sure that it complies with the NEC. When working on electrical systems, it's important to always follow safety precautions. Always turn off the power to the circuit before working on it. Use insulated tools and wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as safety glasses and gloves. Never work on electrical systems when you are wet or standing in water. If you are not comfortable working on electrical systems, it's best to hire a qualified electrician. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it's important to have the right knowledge and skills to do it safely. Overloading a circuit can cause the wires to overheat, which can lead to a fire. It can also damage appliances and equipment connected to the circuit. It's important to avoid overloading circuits by using the correct size circuit breaker and by not plugging too many appliances into a single circuit. A circuit breaker is a safety device that is designed to protect electrical circuits from overloads and short circuits. When a circuit is overloaded, the circuit breaker will trip, interrupting the flow of electricity. It's important to reset a tripped circuit breaker only after you have identified and corrected the cause of the overload. A ground fault is an unintentional electrical path between a live wire and the ground. Ground faults can be caused by damaged insulation, loose connections, or water damage. Ground faults can be dangerous because they can cause electric shock. A ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, is a safety device that is designed to protect people from electric shock. A GFCI monitors the current flowing in a circuit and quickly shuts off the power if it detects a ground fault. GFCIs are required in certain locations, such as bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor areas. An arc fault is an unintentional electrical arc that can occur in a circuit. Arc faults can be caused by damaged insulation, loose connections, or corroded contacts. Arc faults can be dangerous because they can cause fires. An arc fault circuit interrupter, or SI, is a safety device that is designed to protect against arc faults. SIs are required in certain locations, such as bedrooms and living rooms. Electrical codes and standards are constantly evolving to improve safety and reliability. It's important to stay up to date on the latest codes and standards to ensure that electrical installations are safe and compliant. Many organizations offer training courses on electrical codes and standards. These courses can help electricians, engineers, and other professionals to understand and apply the requirements of the codes and standards. Continuous learning is essential in the electrical industry to stay informed about new technologies, safety practices, and code changes. By staying up to date on the latest developments, electrical professionals can provide the best possible service to their customers and ensure the safety of electrical installations. In the specific case of a sump pump, the high inrush current during startup is a critical factor. While the running current might be within the limits of a 15 amp circuit, the momentary surge of 60 amps can cause the breaker to trip or even damage the wiring over time. This is why a dedicated 20 amp circuit is recommended, as it can handle the inrush current without causing problems. The dedicated circuit also ensures that the sump pump will not be affected by other appliances or lights on the same circuit, which could cause it to fail during a critical time. Regular inspection of electrical systems is crucial for identifying potential problems before they become serious. This includes checking for loose connections, damaged wiring, and corroded contacts. It's also important to test GFCIs and SIs regularly to ensure that they are functioning properly. If you notice any signs of electrical problems, such as flickering lights, burning smells, or sparking outlets, it's important to have them investigated by a qualified electrician immediately. Ignoring these problems can lead to serious consequences, including electrical fires and electric shock. Proper grounding is essential for electrical safety. Grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, which helps to trip the circuit breaker and prevent electric shock. It's important to ensure that all electrical equipment is properly grounded and that the grounding system is properly installed and maintained. Surge protection is another important aspect of electrical safety. Surges can be caused by lightning strikes, power outages, or other electrical disturbances. Surges can damage sensitive electronic equipment, such as computers, televisions, and appliances. Surge protectors can help to protect against surge damage by diverting excess voltage to the ground. Energy efficiency is becoming increasingly important in electrical systems. There are many ways to improve energy efficiency, such as using LED lighting, installing energy-efficient appliances, and optimizing the use of electrical equipment. Energy-efficient electrical systems can save money on electricity bills and reduce the environmental impact of electricity generation. Renewable energy sources, such as solar and wind power, are becoming more popular as a way to reduce reliance on fossil fuels. These sources can be integrated into electrical systems to provide clean, sustainable energy. The integration of renewable energy sources requires careful planning and design to ensure that the system is safe and reliable. Smart home technology is also becoming increasingly popular. Smart home devices can be used to control lighting, appliances, and other electrical equipment remotely. Smart home technology can improve convenience, energy efficiency, and security. The installation of smart home devices requires careful planning and configuration to ensure that they are compatible with the existing electrical system and that they are secure from unauthorized access.